everybody, Matt here from Matt's Movies, Music and More, welcoming you to this week's episode of What Did You Think? And as always, I'm welcoming my special guest today, Andrew.
Good evening.
So the movie that we're talking about today, which the Twister Spinner picked from the last episode, it landed on the family genre. And the movie picked for that is the 1987 movie Whitewater Summer, directed by Jeff Bleckner and starring Kevin Bacon and Sean Astin. So, Whitewater Summer.
Yes.
What did you think, and are you going to describe the plot?
Plot is a very strong word when it comes to this movie, but I will try anyway.
Okay.
It's the summer holidays, and Sean Astin plays a boy named Alan, which, much against his better judgment, is persuaded by his dad to join this survival expert called Vic, played by the ever-dependable Kevin Bacon, on a camping holiday out in the American wilderness. And Vic seems charismatic and knowledgeable enough, but as the holiday goes on, he gradually forms a bond with the other kids, whose names, actors' names and character names I can't remember off the top of my head, and who cares anyway. They initially, they don't like him, but he forms a bond with them and they understand and become friends over time. And over time, all of the kids gradually realise that Vic is very much a survival of the extreme believer of survival of the fittest, and is therefore a psycho.
So that's your plot. Okay, I forgot to actually ask you, Andrew, but it doesn't matter. I'll ask you anyway. I was going to say, had you seen this movie before it came up on the review?
No, and I suspect many people share my experience.
Okay. Well, it was a movie that I actually suggested to go on Twister Spinner because of the fact that when I first saw it, I think I saw the movie in the early 2000s on late night cable in England, and we have satellite and cable, so different to American cable. But I recall watching Scream late night on TV that night, and Whitewater Summer was on straight after, because it was like one of those movies that was on at like 2 in the morning. And I remember catching it and thinking, sounds an interesting movie, Kevin Bacon's in it and Sean Astin, and I thought, I've not heard of this movie, sounds quite interesting. But then I looked at it and I thought, actually I do know this movie because it's got some songs in it by artists that I like, and I'd heard of it by the fact that it had come up on IMDb that these particular songs were in the movie. Most notably, a song by a band I love called Cutting Crew, a great 80s band who done I Just Died in Your Arms, a huge #1 hit worldwide. They have a song in this movie called Life in a Dangerous Time, which is probably used in the best scene in the movie, in my opinion. I don't know what your opinion is of that scene, in which Alan has come up with this device of how to catch a fish, and it's a unique way, but it's a rope and wood contraption and net. But Kevin Bacon is kind of like, no, you can't catch these because you've caught them the wrong way.
That's not my way, so you're wrong.
Yeah, you need to stick your hand in and grab the fish like I do, kind of thing. And so Alan's kind of exiled to an island on his own. They
dump him on an island across the lake and just leave him there.
Yes, the only way he can get across is by canoe, and they've got the canoes. So whilst that's going on, this brilliant rock song is playing in the background, and it's amazing because I'm going to weigh in with some facts here, which is, you're probably unaware of this, but did you know that the movie itself was shot in 1985, shortly after Kevin Bacon had done Footloose, and I think it may have been either just before or just after Sean Astin had done Goonies. And they filmed some additional scenes 2 years later in which the Sean Astin character is a bit older, because it's all done through the perspective of him, that he's talking to camera and making wisecracks, and he's like, well, going in the wilderness and all that has changed me, but he's talking to camera, and the fact that these songs they didn't even exist in 1985, so the fact that Jeff Bleckner, who I don't know much about as a film director, but I'm guessing he must have had a background in music videos, because he seems to use the music that was around in 1987 with footage from 1985 in a really, really unique way. It seems that the music really works. I don't know if that's your feeling.
Unique is not the word I use. All credit.
Yeah.
It is very tuneful and very good music. But this movie is very much a walk in the woods, which is the most standard. Not only is it the most threadbare standard plot you could possibly have, but it's a very linear progression of we're walking from this destination to, and now we're going to go across to this destination. So you've got lots of long 5-minute shots of them walking through the woods or walking up the mountain or walking to this place. So how do you pad that out and make it engaging, make sure the audience don't fall asleep? You do it by putting music in there in almost montage-like style, because if you think of Rocky IV, that's the most obvious example, but everything in the 80s has to have a montage. It has to have some kind of power ballad to get you going. So my basic memory of the movie, watching it, is watching these kids walk across the woods, walking across the pine trees, and listening to these aren't the exact lyrics, but it feels like it's accompanying what we're watching. So it's, we're walking across the woods, we're gonna go through this forest, and we're never gonna stop, oh yeah. And we're climbing up the mountain, we're gonna reach the top, we're gonna keep climbing the mountain, and we're never gonna stop, oh yeah. That's most of this movie. I'm not lying. The woods, going across the bridge, going up the mountain. It's all this music. Again, it's good music, but that's all that's happening. I mean, punctuated with all the dramatic scenes of Kevin Bacon being nasty towards Sean Astin. But
yeah. So what was your opinion on that relationship there with the Sean Astin and the Vic character by Kevin Bacon? Because obviously it just seems that Kevin Bacon is really sort of treating him a bit harsher than the other kids, because the other kids have obviously done this before, whereas he hadn't.
Well, that's obviously the meat of whatever story they're trying to put here. It's like Vic is deliberately preying on Alan because he knows he's a city boy and he's trying to teach him in his own twisted way that your parents aren't always going to be there, or nobody's going to help you. You have to learn to fend for yourself.
Yeah, because there's a bit in it where the Kevin Bacon character, he gets a bit angry because the Sean Astin character's got like a knife, and he's carving into the tree like his name and stuff like that. So he takes the knife off him, and
because it's not my knife.
Yeah,
that's all. Most of the arguments boil down to it's that's not my knife. That's not my way. Okay, fair play about the you've got a radio. This is meant to be a camping trip. God damn it.
Yeah, because he's doing that, and he's also doing. Kevin Bacon can actually set a fire by doing it properly, by rubbing the sticks and getting it together. Whereas Sean Astin character would be like, well, why haven't you got a lighter? It would be like that, you know.
Yeah.
But he's like, well, this is what you do out here. This is how we do it. And there's scenes in the movie which you could you call them child cruelty, maybe? In which there's a scene in which the Sean Astin character has been made to cross a suspension bridge, and he forgot the poles for the tent.
Yeah.
So the Kevin Bacon character sends him back on his own to go and do it. And already he's been scared of crossing the suspension bridge once, and it's a really rickety old suspension bridge.
It's full-blown wobbly. Oh God, we're hanging by one plank, basically.
Yeah, and because Sean Astin chickened out, you see Kevin Bacon behind him, and he drops the
sticks
in.
I'm sorry, I couldn't find the sticks. Well, that's obviously a lie, because I found the sticks. You were there the whole time and you didn't help me with the bridge.
Yeah. But do you think that the music was aimed at an MTV audience? Because this movie, it's one of those Kevin Bacon films that shortly after he did Footloose, he did this, and he did a movie called Quicksilver. I don't know if you've heard of Quicksilver, in which he's like a delivery guy on bike, kind of like these people do at Uber and stuff like that now. But they were both forgotten movies from the 80s, both though having decent soundtracks. So whether or not Columbia made this to promote soundtracks, because it didn't do well financially in America, and it's been relegated to late night television screenings, and there is a DVD of it available, but nothing more than that really.
You might be onto something with MTV audiences, or at least the producers just thought, what's the demographic? Let's just make something. It doesn't have to be good, it doesn't have to be brilliant or spectacular. As long as we get those bums on the seats, that's fine.
Because the soundtrack itself is really strange, isn't it?
One question, sorry if I'm turning off here, but ask you regarding release dates. You said this was after Footloose and this was after The Goonies. This does have the stink of those actors did really well in these movies that just came out recently. Let's just bung them in something. Can you remember, because I can't, off the top of your head, when Ferris Bueller's Day Off came out?
Ferris Bueller's from 1986.
Because those you say there are flash forward narration sequences from Sean Astin's character, like a year later or something, wearing a Hawaiian shirt, talking to the audience like, let me tell you the real story of what happened, or let me tell you, I thought Vic was no good when he talked about this, and that again feels like you realise you didn't have enough plot to fill up feature time, so you're trying to desperately pad this out by any means necessary. But also, it has that, like I say, that cocky Ferris Bueller attitude, which Sean Astin's character has not earned in the movie. And I know this is a coming-of-age passage for him, but I doubt that what he went through would have led to him wearing, because he starts off as all nervy and, I don't know about doing this holiday, Dad. But at the end, he's wearing a Hawaiian shirt and he's talking in a cocky manner. He's talking about things. The point of narration sequences like this are to add a little extra context that isn't already there. But when he's on there, he's talking about Vic was talking about gods in the sky when he could have just said this, or you see this egg on this makeshift bridge and now I'm going to drop it, that would have been my head. You didn't need to tell us that, Sean Astin. We already got that from the scene before this.
Yeah. It's weird because you're watching it and you don't really know who to root for, because the Sean Astin character is really, to be honest, he's a little shit, because he's not doing as he's told, is he?
I don't know what to do. I'm scared. I can't do this. I'm scared.
If you've ever watched an episode of the British reality show I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, he's basically every celebrity on that show. They're like, I don't want to do this.
Every whiny celebrity. You almost sympathise with Kevin Bacon saying, stuff it, I'm just going to leave you here.
Yeah, so you could see Kevin Bacon's being like the Anton Dex of that show. But with Whitewater Summer, I mean, it is a really, really strange one, because, I mean, the soundtrack is great. There was never an official soundtrack release for this movie, and yet you've got Cutting Crew, you've got Journey, you've got 2 songs by Bruce Hornsby and The Range, and you've got a song by The Cult, which is really good. But it's just a really weird one. Did you know that the movie originally was going to be called Rites of Summer? And to be honest, I think that as a title, that doesn't sound like it's more appealing than Whitewater Summer. At least with Whitewater Summer, you're going to think of whitewater rafting if you're into that sort of thing.
Which appears in the movie, to be fair.
But at the same time, do you think that was the audience they were going for, which was more of like, people that are survivalists, a bit like people like Bear Grylls now? Do you think that it would have been aimed at people that are into that sort of thing, of like survival and living off the land, that sort of thing? Because in 1980s America, I don't think people were thinking of that.
Yeah, it does seem a very strange creative choice.
Yeah, and apparently they filmed a lot of the scenes in the Sierra Nevada desert in California, and also some scenes in Quebec in Canada. No doubt that's probably for tax reasons, I'm guessing.
Oh God, yes. This has tax dodge written all over it. This production, the ending in particular. I don't know if we should go into that.
You can do.
Because so you've already got a bit of a threadbare plot. You've had development with them being left out in the rain, being left on an island in the lake, being left to dangle from a mountain. It's all got to the point where they've said to Kevin Bacon, right, we've had enough of your shit, we're leaving. And Kevin Bacon kind of just stands there like a petulant child going, no, we're going to go to the north tomorrow. You can't leave me, like that. And of course he catches up with them, is like, you're not going anywhere, and they push him off a cliff and he breaks his leg, which I think is the exact moment the script writer wrote himself into a corner, because like this is meant to be a Psycho and you'd expect like a desperate chase for survival and how will they use their skills to overcome this master, except you can't have that now because he's broken his leg, he can't go anywhere. So they fix him up because, of course, they don't have it in their hearts to just kill him. Either that or they didn't want to have an adult-rated certificate on this movie. And they, the other kids whose names I can't remember, goes, all right, we're going to go and get some help. And you would think maybe there's going to be a B-plot of them going off, but that's them out the movie. You never see them again. And they wait there, and then suddenly Alan, Sean Astin, decides we're going to go down the river. But weren't we going to just wait here a minute? Go, no, we haven't got time for that. They realised they needed to end this movie somehow, so they go down the rapids. We're going down the rapids. We're going to reach the limit. Oh, yeah. And it doesn't get them anywhere. They fall off a waterfall and they nearly drown. Was this meant to be like Alan's revenge of you put me through this, now I'm putting you through it? Because it feels like you needed to have some kind of climactic scene and you couldn't really do that with a man with a broken leg. But, and so they say to you are the most stubborn guy I know. No, you are the most stubborn guy I know. I'm going plot by plot as described. But then suddenly a helicopter appears out of flipping nowhere and then the credits start rolling. It's like they've ran out of money at that exact point. But oh no, that's not the end of it. Because Ferris Bueller, Sean Astin says, hey, stop the credits. That's not the end of the story. I made peace with Vic. Really? You made peace with him after what he did? Health and safety weren't called in to arrest Vic after all the crap he put you through, even though this is like the mid-80s. And I know what you're thinking. How can I possibly want to go out into the woods again after what happened to me? Well, I'm not in the woods. I'm in Central Park. Herpy derpy derpy derp. Roll the rest of the credits. This movie doesn't so much end as it farts loudly and walks off.
But you can probably see that.
Sorry about that rant, but
no, it's all good. I like it when you're honest on camera. It's good. But what is interesting is you look at this and you just think, who is it really aimed at? Because it just seems a really, really weird one.
Yeah.
Do you think it might have been made really for television, maybe in the future, maybe for syndication or something like that? Because the way Columbia did it, Columbia, they only released the film in the Pacific Northwest region of America. And the idea was to, because this was in the days where they would only make up a limited quantity of print, and they would basically bike it from area to area, but that never happened, so it only opened there. So maybe they must have opened it in the Pacific Northwest thinking that that's our target audience, the people that are living there. It's filmed in our neighbourhood and whatever, that we're going to support it the way that, we can. But, yeah, it's a shame, because I like the movie. It's got something about it. But it's one of those ones that I think the music is better than the film. I think the visuals are good. I think it's the montages.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to remember the name here, but I heard that John Alcott was the cinematographer on this. Who
That's correct.
Had a illustrious career, and you can tell this is somebody who knows how to film trees and mountains and rivers. I don't know if that's much of a compliment, because like I said earlier, a walk in the countryside is the most basic thing you can do in a movie. It's hard to screw that up, but he does a good hash of it. It looks competent, at least.
But there was a movie that Sean Astin was in that was basically the same thing, and that won Academy Awards, Lord of the Rings, right?
Well, that's because they had a better script.
Fair enough, I'll give that to him there. So, did you really enjoy it or not really?
If you're a Kevin Bacon fan and you've already seen Footloose and goodness knows what, if you've exhausted the rest of the filmography and you haven't seen anything else with him in it, because Kevin Bacon is trying here. He is acting his little cotton socks off in the role of this psychopath, which is fair enough. I mean, that's better than looking at the script and saying this is crap, so I'm not going to give one while making this. But if you're a Kevin Bacon fan, is what I'm saying. Otherwise, I can't in good conscience recommend this.
Yeah, that's a shame, but I guess, you know, the opinions on this channel are always going to be different anyways. But I will make one point before I end this. What was your opinion on the special effects regarding the scene in which Kevin Bacon breaks his leg? Because that looks like he really broke his leg, with the fact that he's got the bone sticking out of his leg and everything like that, and then he snaps it in place. That looks really graphic.
I think a part of that is the acting, but also it's the 80s. They just had better practical effects by default.
Yeah.
That's me being a bit snide, but I think there's a ring of truth in that.
And with the movie itself, I mean, it probably has one of the smallest casts. I think there's only credited on the cast as like 7 actors, and 5 of them are the main actors, which is the 4 kids. Although we say kids, they're late teens, probably between
teens,
sort of
yeah.
15 and 18,
or at least in their early 20s, pretending to be teens.
Yeah, and you got Kevin Bacon as well. But I mean, the kids themselves, I will mention the actors' names briefly, just in case any of you at home are interested.
In the interest of balance,
yeah, because you've got Jonathan Ward, who the only movie that I know of that he is in, and he's not the main actor, but I know he is in the McDonald's and Coca-Cola endorsed movie Mac and Me.
That's a great resume.
Yes, and you've also got Matt Adler, who is famous for being in the Endless Summer movies, I think they are. He did like the 2 surfing movies. They came out shortly after this. And the other kid, whose actor's name is Casey Martell, I'd seen him a few years ago in a movie called Bloody Birthday, which is an early 80s slasher movie in which he is a kid who's born on the night of a full moon with 2 other kids, and they're sort of evil children that go out and kill their parents and stuff like that, which is alright. But in this movie, we put it in family, but it does have some R-rated language, I'd say. It does have a few fucks here and there, and you bastards.
One or 2 curse words, yes.
Yeah, but we put it in family because I suppose it couldn't really go in the WTF category. It's not that bad, but
it's not
a comedy.
That's kind of the thing. It's not distinctive or creative enough. It's a walk through the woods.
Because you watch it and you just think, what can you generalise it as? It's not action. It's not comedy. You know, it's not drama. I don't really know how to categorise it. It's a very strange one.
Yeah.
So I suppose that's the end of Whitewater Summer.
I guess, yes. Let's move on with our lives.
Yes. I'm sorry you
didn't
enjoy it
like Sean Astin apparently moved on with his life after the things Kevin Bacon did to him.
Mentally scarred for life, no doubt.
Yeah. Well, evidently he's wearing Hawaiian shirts and sitting around in Central Park talking to an audience all day.
Yeah. Either that or he's gone a bit crazy, I'm guessing.
I wish it were that creative.
Okay, guys, so that was Whitewater Summer. Tell us what did you think of the movie on the comments and stuff like that. Don't forget to like and subscribe. The movie is available on DVD in America and Australia. It's never had a DVD release in the UK, although it was out on VHS in the late 1980s, early 1990s. But it's, you know, if you're lucky to find it at a car boot or whatever, if it's cheap, like a £1 or something like that, I'd say pick it up. If not, maybe give it a miss. But the music alone, it's worth seeing it if you like those sort of artists, these whole power ballad 80s American anthems and stuff, especially Journey, because Journey have obviously had this resurgence with their hit Don't Stop Believing. They have their song Be Good to Yourself, which is the end credits music. So that's kind of a foot tapper, I'd say. But yeah, so it's not available on streaming sites as far as I'm aware. But yeah, thank you for checking out this video today, and check out the official Facebook, the Twitter, the Instagram, and of course the YouTube channel for all of our things. But oh damn it, I forgot, it's that sound again. Damn it, it's Twister Spinner time.
Let's do it. It's got to be better than this.
Okay, so without further ado, let's tell you that it's all ready to roll up now. So without further ado, let's spin that wheel. It's landed on spin again. Unbelievable. Oh, so we've got to sit through that again, have we?
Yes.
It was bound to come up, I guess. So, do you want to take it away this time? Maybe you might have better luck on this spin.
Right. Cindy, let's give it a whirl.
It's landed on drama.
And that means...
According to the list, which I have here, it means that the movie it has landed on is 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri.
Ah.
A recent Oscar-winning film. Does that make you happy?
It already makes me a lot happier than this. No, I ought to stop saying that. No. I have seen this, so I have an attachment to it, and give me a moment, but I'm sure I'll have things to say. Yes.
Excellent, excellent. So again, check us out and share it with your friends, because we really need to try and get our viewing figures up, and there's going to be some really exciting things coming out on the channel soon, and with your help that will be a reality. So again, thank you from me, and thank you from him as well.
You're welcome.
So all the best to you guys. Bye bye.